Hello Grace, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I've never been better.
Yeah.
And I think you can imagine why.
I have been pretty well the last 48 hours as well.
How good was Sunday?
So
tell me about it being there. I was watching it on TV, I couldn't be there. How was it?
Yeah, I mean, I got there, what was it, 1 o'clock? I think it was. I got there right when the VIP doors opened. Not that I was VIP, but I used my pass and I got in and I got to work. No, it was great from the start. I don't know if it was just the aura or the atmosphere of being there and all the players warming up and getting ready, but it was top tier from the start. And then we had a decibel reader for sound. Yeah. At the game 3 of the semi-final series, when we won, the decibels got up to 103, 104 or something like that. When they were doing the announcements at the very start of this game, it was at 115.
Oh, wow.
So that puts it in perspective of just how exciting it was and how engaged the audience was from the start.
Because you always hear on telecasts like big games like that, so I've never heard this place so loud, and they were saying that right from the get-go, so we're just like, okay. But like, you could feel it through the telecast, so I was like, okay, actually I believe you.
Yeah.
Because for ages they were saying like game 3 in the semis against South East Melbourne was the loudest they've ever heard it in like their whole time supporting the Hawks, or a lot of fans anyway. But yeah, just right from the get-go, it felt like, even though the 4 games before the away team won, it wasn't going to be any other result. And I sort of felt that, and obviously we'll get into it about all the games and all that, but it felt like if we overcame missing Trey on Wednesday and losing Sam early, if we overcame that away from home, I felt like that was ours for the taking.
That was in the back of my mind. I just didn't want to say it out loud.
Yeah, no, neither did I. But yeah, so that was it. Was that your weekend entirely? What else happened?
That was, I believe, the main part of my weekend. I don't remember doing anything of any importance for the rest of it.
As we were sure.
Oh wait. No, definitely.
No, nothing that we can say on there. Right, Top Gong this week. Now I've got one, but I'll let you go first because you were actually you've been immersed in the community this week. I've been sheltered a little bit. What's your Top Gong this week?
Yes, well, mine came after the game in the post-game interviews when everyone was down on the floor there. We were racing, trying to catch all of the really important people who were holding their rings. My colleague and I, we caught up just with Sam Froling, and I believe he ran some of Sam's comments in the article that he put out, but there was one comment that he couldn't. My colleague asked Sam about his foot, and to which response we got, "I don't care about my fucking foot. We just won." So that is my top moment for a very long time.
Shout out! What a man. Mine, and I've got to give a shout out to this bloke because this bloke has been completing like 1,000 side quests this week. Damon Lowry. Now I don't know if you've watched back the telecast, but they had him mic'd up in the crowd, and this man was, I reckon, a carton of beer deep, and
that's a lot.
He was a vibe. Did you see him out at the post game? What he did?
I saw him going around. I saw him get ambushed by the commentary team into the film, and he didn't quite realise that they were live yet, and looked a bit.
It was hilarious.
a little.
It was hilarious. Actually, at the place I work as well, he came in for an interview and he gave like the biggest hype speech of all time. But this man just seems like the ultimate vibe. So my top gong is Damien Lowry, obviously 2001 champ winner. And speaking of champs, Hawks are champs.
Hawks are champs.
2-time champs. 114. The one that realistically neither of us have witnessed. But 114, 104. The final score at home over Melbourne United. Record WEC attendance as well, 5,686. At least that's what the broadcast was saying. And one thing that stood out to me looking at this score here, 3/4 of that game were level deadlocked. The only quarter that was won by either team was the second quarter. The Hawks won 34-24. The rest of them were deadlocked. So realistically, in terms of points, that second quarter was that difference. So first quarter was 26 all, second quarter was 34-24 Hawks, third quarter was 22 all, and fourth quarter was 32 all, which I actually didn't realise until today, but they actually caught me off guard so much.
The fourth quarter was level.
Level, yeah. We did play some of the development boys later to give them a bit of a run.
Lose it.
No, we didn't lose it, but I found that really interesting because it's sort of like,
me.
yeah, but like now that we think of it as well, once we got that lead, it was sort of just like staying in the grind and maintaining it the whole time. But that really actually caught me off guard. But what an afternoon! I was speaking to Matty Russell, who was on the sideline for the broadcast earlier today, and like I said to him, I said, I've never seen this town so up for something or getting around something. And he said, yeah, I haven't seen that since 2001. And obviously I didn't witness it in 2001, but I imagine you felt that as well on Sunday.
I did. I felt it in my soul, if that makes sense. Just the feeling, first of all, the music and just all the cheering. I definitely felt that. But I don't know, it was just like this. It was like it wasn't real. Kind of like a movie. Yes. Like a movie.
One thing that I saw at the end of the game, when he got pulled for an interview with broadcast, Tyler was actually in tears. And remember last week how we said this guy doesn't get fazed by anything?
No.
I knew we were going to win as soon as he went ballistic at Clark in the first quarter, and I thought,
that was an intense moment.
But like, you think about it, this guy's been at the club for what, 4 or 5 years now. He's been through the shittest times.
Oh yeah, like quite a few of them have, but
and like in this guy, like he's been like every week, take a week by week, take a game by game, but eventually it builds up, and I've never seen that. Like he was in tears at the end of the game. That's how good it was. I was nearly in tears. I'm not a crier, Grace, but I was nearly in tears.
I shed a few tears. There were different moments. One of which we'll probably talk about with the Delhi moment. That had me tearing up.
That was we will get into that, but let's go through this game. So Darius Days only played just under 9 minutes in the end. Just finished with 2 points, but where did he come from earlier in the year? It was somewhere like Shanghai Sharks, I think it was. We played them in the pre-season, and we picked him up shortly after.
August 16, I think it was. If I had a really specific.
That is really good.
At the Snake Pit, it was a 5:30 game. Pretty sure.
That is great areas for you guys.
And he had 24. Yeah, he was wearing 24, and he had like 4 threes or something like that. Yeah.
I don't know more to add on that. But
I was there. I travelled down for that game, for that pre-season game.
Oh, so that's why you were.
So I came from Queensland with my friend, and we watched it, and we looked at each other. My friend, who also has the name Grace, but she's tall Grace. She's 6'5". I'm only 6'1", so shout out.
Only 6'1".
Yeah.
Only 6'1".
But no, we watched the game. We looked at each other. We were like, this guy's for real.
He's good.
And then lo and behold, like 2 weeks later, the Hawks announced him as their third import. I was like,
because that was around the time when Gary Clark was like announcing he was going as well. We were thinking like, oh crap, what are we going to do?
Exactly.
Then obviously we picked up Trey and Darius, but he is, just in terms of personality, one of my favourite players to just watch.
Yeah,
he
really is
great. And I'm just obviously going through all the boys here. Tyler finished with 16 points, 8 from 17 from the field. This guy is the Illawarra Hawks.
He's the crux.
He played 35 minutes in the end. Another man who's the Illawarra Hawks, and in our eyes the MVP, Davo. I mean, what a story. This bloke, what was it, 2-3 years ago, couldn't get a crack from anywhere, and here he is basically, like obviously the records won't show it, but he's basically MVP in the finals. Yeah. That's insane.
I think I saw it got sent to me. Someone's gone on Wikipedia and changed it to the MVP says Will Hickey.
Well, if you're following
officially, unofficially,
if you're following our socials on both Wednesday and Sunday, you would obviously notice that the Gong Pod. We need to get a shrine with this photo
amazing goat.
The Davo goat. And I put that up with 2 minutes to go because I was like, we've got it. And I actually said MVP before all this happened.
So did a lot of people.
But seriously, like, and isn't it ironic how last week we were just like that? Whenever he scores 15 points, we don't win. Well, it wasn't the last 5 or something.
Yeah, and 4 of the last 5 games that he'd scored 15 or more, we lost. And
then he goes in and puts in 2 20-plus games and
proves it wrong.
Literally just like debunks that straight away.
It's like he listened and he knew he had a job to do, and that was to prove us wrong.
I hope he listens. I mean, this is a Will Davo Hickey glazing club over here. But yeah, 30 minutes, 21 points, 9 from 14 from the field. A 2-point percentage of 9 from 12, yada yada. A man who is easily defensive player of the year in my opinion, Wani Swaka-Bullock, 4-time NBL champ.
At 23.
Seriously?
That is insane. That's only, I don't know how old you are, do you want me to ask?
25. I'm 25.
Okay, and I'm 22 and I don't, we nothing compares to that.
That's it. 4-time
NBL champion.
4-time. But like you were saying earlier, he said a couple of weeks ago, if he won this would have been the sweetest.
He was very adamant that this one would mean the most. It would mean the most to him, and it would mean the most just because of what it means for Wollongong and for the Illawarra.
Yeah. Did you? Did they have any? Forget it. Sister can wait until later. I was just wondering if he was okay, and this is weird to start with, but were his pants staying upright? because I feel like when he emptied his pockets, he had his keys, he had his wallet, he had his phone, and he had Chris Goulding in there as well.
Fair enough.
See, there was a way to do it.
That was sly.
That was the way to do it. But
I was like, where is this going?
Serious? Yeah, no, none of that. But seriously, the job he did on Chris Goulding throughout this whole series, like I felt like every game when you were watching it, the commentary was like, "Oh, Goulding, he hasn't had that big of a game yet. He's due for one. Why don't you just kept on putting him away every time?" Mason Peatling only played 11 minutes.
Which surprises me because in my mind he was on the court for a long time.
Yeah. 3 points in the end, just 11 minutes. Hung Jong Lee only played 7.5 for 6 points. I wish Lee played a little bit more this series, but I can't.
Like we were saying last
can't argue against the winning formula.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But yeah, rotations. Now this guy Trey Kell, 26 points with a bunged leg. I don't know how bad was he limping in the warm up?
Not necessarily. He was late to the warm up, I suppose. When I came in at 1 o'clock, everyone was doing their shoot rounds, and he started stretching at 1:30. So obviously he would have done his other stuff beforehand.
Yeah.
But he wasn't necessarily limping. I think if anything, the break for game 4 was exactly what he needed. I know a lot of people were like, "You've got to play it." Like, why is
it
he
was a
playing?
gamble, but it worked.
But exactly, if he had pushed through game 4 and not been 100% for game 5, that could have been a big difference.
Yeah, 100%. And Toddy B, hot Toddy, 20 minutes, 8 points. That 3 right on half time. That was just like, I think the NBL themselves said it. That didn't look like missing, and I feel like that just set the tone for the rest of the afternoon.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And a guy who has to be commended so much after what happened last Wednesday, Lockie Ulrich, 25 minutes, 12 points, but he was just a presence in there, and he stood up when it mattered, because obviously Sam Froling, what was it? His first game, Sam Froling hasn't played NBL in like 5 years or something ridiculous. I think broadcast was saying on Wednesday. It was like they were saying it was like 170 games straight or something.
Yeah,
it was insane. But for a guy who's, you don't remember, he's 20 years old.
21.
21. Yeah. Apologies. He was 20 years old.
He was 20 recently.
Okay, I'll pass that. I'm living in the past. 21 years old. Obviously has NBA draft prospects eventually. But he stood up in the biggest stage, even like last Wednesday as well. He stood up, and he's a good feel-good story as well. But he's locked in until next year. But obviously, draft, whatever. We'll just see how that goes. Now, obviously, the biggest talking point from last Wednesday night was Sam Froling and how. So, what's the official diagnosis? Has that Achilles torn off the bone? Did I read?
It's a partial tear of his Achilles tendon. So okay. I believe the release said surgery on Tuesday. Now I'm not sure if that meant Tuesday today or Tuesday next week, but it's surgery on Tuesday in Sydney.
Yeah. So you'd probably think of today, but have they sort of like hinted a recovery time, or is that a post-surgery thing?
I'd say it's person post-surgery, but Achilles takes forever to heal. I'm giving it 9 to 12 months, I would say, because it's such a fickle tendon as well, and it connects. It's involved in so much movement. May I just add, people's, when a normal person gets a cast, and it's a cast, it's a normal size cast. I was sitting next to Sam the other day. That cast is like the size of my entire leg, just up to his knee. It is the longest cast I have ever seen.
My God.
And I don't think people actually realise how long their legs are until they're standing.
What is he? 200
next to a cast.
How many centimetres is he?
I think it's like 200.
I'm going to do all this. Sam Froling height 213. You will bang on right at the get go. So for that perspective, that's like an extra 20 centimetres on me. But can you imagine being the doctor putting that together?
Yeah.
But so like if you're given that 9 to 12 months, the next question is, and you hate to think about it while we're celebrating, the next question is, what happens next year then?
Well, I think he's already thinking about it. I think that was the first thing. One of the top things that would have gone through his mind. It's awful timing for it to be happening now when free agency opens up April 1.
Yeah.
Like this, it couldn't have come at a worse time, but I don't think that they'll let him just go, if that makes sense. My what are they called? Bold predictions?
Yeah.
The NBL did. My bold prediction is that he'll be kept here for a year in some sort of coaching position, or they'll arrange something of the like of that style.
You have to keep him around.
Yeah, keep him for a year within the club, with a role that he can still be engaged and around the family that he's become such an integral part of. And then when he's ready, he's ready. Sam
Froling is similar to the likes of your Tyler Harveys and all that side. They are the Hawks.
Exactly.
And how long has he been here? 5 years now or something like that. And there's talk, I don't know, it's rumours obviously, but there's talk his brother might be making a comeback and all that jazz as well. Obviously, what happened to his brother years ago.
Harry's doing fairly well over in New Zealand. I think it's rebounds he's leading the league in the New Zealand NBL.
Is he a centre as well? Big man?
I wasn't even following basketball before then, but I'm pretty sure he is. He's a big human.
Yeah, he's just as big as Sam, is he?
I think he's short, but he's just as strong.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And scary.
But, it's just thinking, because the whole story was, he's a free agent, and obviously there was that chat, I think, a month or two ago about will he resign, what's going to happen. Apparently the Kings are interested. But it sort of seemed like, I'm going to resign. It's just wait until this job is done first.
Yeah.
It's just... But then, again, we go back to who we were talking about earlier. It just makes it so important now in terms of what Lockie Ulbrich does. He's contracted for another year, but obviously there's that looming NBA draft thing. Yeah. Does he wait another year? He has declared, I believe.
He's declared, and he's leaving sometime in April to head over to the States for the workouts and stuff.
Yeah.
So he's going to be there for months in advance and do all that whole combine thing and the draft and whatnot, but you just never know.
You don't know. Well, obviously, what
80 something on the projections, so not necessarily first or second round, but we've seen before.
And when you get to that point, if you're not first or second round, it's just like, are you better off? Because it seems like you'd be guaranteed a lot of minutes if you came back to the NBL next year.
You can't pull out of it after declaring, so that's the thing. Like he's declared, he can't change his mind on that. He decided not to declare last year so that he could get an extra year experience. But I guess that's the risk you take as well as you turning 22 6 months after the draft. You know, your stocks aren't as great as a 18, 19-year-old after a year of college.
So this is the time where he basically takes his chance if he wants to.
Yeah, if he waited another year, the chances would be even lower. So this is...
so that's the whole...
question though. If he gets drafted and Sam's out...
What are you doing?
Where are we going?
That's my question.
We've got Luca, and Luca Yates dunks in the grand final. And
how old is he now?
Who? Luca? I think he's the same. I think he's 19.
So he's young. He's
even younger.
Yeah, it's just like you haven't seen enough of him.
Correct, and it's not like Luca isn't the same standard as Lockie or the same standard as Sam. So you've still got a gap to fill there.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting. If both of them aren't in Hawks jerseys next year, what happens in that space?
Yeah.
Let's just hope we don't end up like the Kings and
that's why.
Guys.
And that's why. And that's why JT, our Lord and Saviour, gets paid. He gets paid the big bucks. That's the decisions he's got to make.
More than us.
Yeah, you think so? Can I just talk about JT though?
Yeah.
Seriously. Like,
mega true.
This guy has turned this whole city around.
Yeah.
Like, if that man doesn't get the keys to the city after this, I don't know what warrants it.
He's a figure. I think a lot of people just loved him before because of the position that he was put in and what he did in such a short period of time to turn around the team at the start of last season. But there's a reason why they've continued to love him.
Yeah.
And that's just because he's a great person.
He gets it.
Great person to watch, great person to listen to, great person people like to like him.
And for a guy who is literally from the other side of the world, he gets this down.
Yes.
Like, did you see that letter from that Lady Hawks fan? Like they put it up on their Insta. Did you see that he read out that letter from one of the members? I think. Like a long-time member?
I heard about this. I didn't read or view the whole thing.
I'll get this up for you because this is so nice.
All right, so the Hawks are champs. I did not find that video after all that. So take me through. We got to talk about it. Delhi's act at the end of the game. So obviously, if Matthew Dellavedova voted MVP. Obviously, whatever happened afterwards, but he's basically gone up there and said, no, David, this is yours. He's gone and handed it to him. Where were you when this happened? How close were you when this happened?
Well, just a question. Did people at home see the whole thing? Was it part of the broadcast?
The handover?
Yeah.
Yeah, we all saw it.
The whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I wasn't down on the court yet. My part of media couldn't do that until afterwards, but myself and Agra, my colleague, were standing up on the concourse and we were in front of our row. We had the view and just watching the presentations go on and just unfolded.
Yeah.
And I did tear up. I know for a fact my sister back home was crying.
Yeah.
Like it was one of those, like the NBL labelled it, a moment that you won't ever forget.
No, you won't.
No one watching it, no one there will forget it for various reasons, whether you're a Melbourne United fan or an Illawarra Hawks fan or just a fan of Australian basketball. So it was insane.
Yeah, and there was booing and like the whole thing about the booing and all that, it's just like, it's sport. They're going to boo, but I just hope they weren't booing Delhi.
No, from everyone I've spoken to, they were booing the decision or booing the way that it was judged and how it unfolded. I don't think anyone would boo Delhi for something like that.
No, like this guy, like he's won an NBA championship. He's literally been the
Exactly.
poster boy of Australian basketball, or was, and is. I'll say is.
Has
for
been
years.
at one stage.
Yeah, but you got to remember as well, Paddy Mills, rightfully so, gets credited with a lot of this, but Delhi helped us to bronze in Tokyo at the Olympics as well. Like this guy has literally, he's done everything but one, and that's win an NBL. But like the guy was literally like LeBron's right hand man, for God's sake.
Exactly. And as soon as he stood up on that stage, he looked like he wanted to get out of there.
Well, he knew.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He knew, and I think he expected to get that kind of response, which is a horrible thing to expect. The other thing is, I think it was a terrible thing to put him in that position.
Oh, yeah. And
he was set up. He was set up for that response. But yeah, he got up. He dipped his head, like we all saw it. He dipped his head. He was like, guys, like he was trying to speak. I don't think there was a single ounce of regret about what he was about to do.
No, he didn't hesitate in doing it. Shall we get into those voting figures you were looking at? Because you found... So what was all this exactly?
It's not necessarily sneaky because it is on Twitter, but if anyone isn't, or X, am I going to get sued for calling it?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, Elon reach out.
Yeah, so NBL put it up. I think they were almost forced to put it up because a lot of people would have been questioning. But I'll give you, look, obviously, so Delhi had 34 in the end and Hickey had 31. Mm-hmm. Who would you have guessed were the next two? And I will say there is a 14-point difference between Hickey and third.
Hawk or Melbourne?
One of each for the top four.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm on the spot here. Okay, I would have gone... Yeah. Frolling?
No.
No?
Frolling was, what says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Frolling was 10th. He had 4 votes.
Really?
Yeah. Granted, he was out for essentially 2 full games.
But still, he had a couple of big games before that.
He did. Yeah, he did. I mean, do you want to tell you?
Tell me, yeah.
So third was T-Raw.
Okay, yeah.
Tyler had 17 votes. And fourth was Marcus Lee on 14.
Okay. He did have a massive game one, I remember. Yeah.
Look,
but he did have foul trouble for a few of the other ones.
And I don't necessarily disagree with Tyler Harvey, but I do disagree. Maybe that's bias. But I actually think that Ian Clark deserved to be up there as well. And 100%. he had 13 votes. So he was 1 vote behind Marcus Lee in fourth. Funny you say Frolling, and funny we talk about Lockie before. Lockie had 7 votes, so he was 8th.
He was 8th. So he was higher than Sam.
He was higher than Golding.
Wow. Well,
Golding
I mean,
had 5.
to be fair, he got locked up pretty good.
Yeah.
How much did Wani get? Does it say Wani?
None. So we had Delhi 34, Hickey 31, Harvey 17, Marcus Lee 14, Clark 13, Jack White was 11 votes. Yeah. I saw a comment was like, someone take this person's voting privileges away because they were the one voting for Jack White.
Wow, yeah.
Trey Kell had 11 as well. Mm-hmm. Lockie had 7, Golding had 5, Frolling had 4, Shea Illy had 2 despite the concussion.
Despite missing, 2 games?
And Days had 1.
Right, okay. Yeah. But like even still, like Tyler was third and like no one glazes Tyler Harvey more than us. But it didn't feel like a Tyler series outside of that that clutch 3 in game 2.
Yeah. He had that one good game and then he had 4 games that were very similar to a lot of other people's bests, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't have his bests. He still had good games, but I wouldn't have put it up at that caliber.
No. Well, I think even Tyler would say like this wasn't the Tyler Harvey series. And again, like the Hawks have been like that all year. They've been a team. They haven't been a hero ball team. They've been an all-round team performance, so it's spread out. But really, yeah, so Marcus Lee, he did have a good game 1, I remember, Marcus Lee. But, yeah, it was Davo's. It had to be Davo.
Yeah.
That's Davo's, that one.
I think the only time I've ever seen the losing team receive an MVP was oh God, I don't know the year off by heart, but it was something like Manly Sea Eagles versus
Cherry Evans got it, and
Yeah.
Jack Whiten got it for Canberra Raiders in the 2019 Grand Final as well on the losing
so
side.
that Cherry Evans one is the reason why I like Cherry Evans.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, oh, this guy's so cool.
How's it with him
the
in
only
his
time.
contract situation?
Oh, yes.
It's like,
Could you imagine if we had him down here?
well, actually, I was talking to someone about it last night, and they were just like, "Who needs a half?" And I'm just like,
Guys,
I mean,
what a question.
I'm just like, the Dragons could do with a 7, but
yeah. But no one wants to discuss that.
no, and they have a bit of cap. Or do they have a bit of Ben Hunt cap space freed up? This is half Dragons talk. We can digress. Do they have cap space for Ben Hunt, or did they use a fair bit of that on like Holmes and Gutherson and all that? They should have a bit in their cap, shouldn't they?
I'm not a financial person.
I'm not thinking that. Yeah, we'll just get the Dragons books out. Right, something else that we're going to touch on as well, which was before the last game, and that was this hostile takeover thing, or some people called it a hostile takeover anyway. So I'm just going to run you through what ESPN said here. So they said the Hawks owner, Jared Novelli, is it Novelli? That's how you pronounce it? Yeah. Novelli?
I call him that.
Jared Novelli. So ESPN said he deployed a hostile takeover of NBL in an attempt to oust the current league owner, Larry Kesselman. In an email sent to 9 other team owners on the evening of Thursday, so a night after we locked it up, Novelli informs his counterparts he would be filing multiple actions against the NBL Co by the end of the month, which an attached draft term sheet proposing Kesselman sell all his shares equally, 10%, amongst the league's 10 teams. The quote here says, "I'm taking one last shot to try and allow the current ownership to leave peacefully while saving face and reputation." The email was sent to all the owners. "I apologize if this initiative offends you. That is very far from my intent, but I am not willing to let the status quo continue, and I see this as a reasonable path forward." Novelli lists secret ambassador agreements, gambling revenue, the sale of the Jack Jumpers, integrity concerns, and financial transparency as among the major concerns he has with Kesselman's ownership of the NBL. And to which very quickly Kesselman goes back and says, "We remain," very shortly, so they put up a big statement thing, but this was 2 lines. "We remain very fully committed to the continued and unprecedented growth and success of the NBL. The NBL is not for sale." Now, the Crest Sports and Entertainment Group, who own the Illawarra Hawks, put out a release shortly after saying Crest Sports and Entertainment LLC owns the Hawks, Crest wishes to address recent press reports. Crest is disappointed that a private email circulated to NBL club owners had been made public and inaccurately reported as a hostile takeover. The proposal sent by Crest was for the 10 NBL clubs to buy the NBL, resulting in each club holding an equal 10% ownership interest in the league and sharing equally in the profits made by the league. The proposal did not involve a takeover by Crest. This proposal was sent after many months of discussion about a restructuring of the NBL to achieve a fairer and more sustainable structure, which would secure and promote professional basketball in Australia into the future. It follows long-standing concerns by clubs regarding the current operation, management, and governance of the NBL. Crest is committed to the future success of professional basketball.
You can tell you're a newsreader.
Oh, well, I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you. Yeah, considering that's what I do for a living. Thoughts?
Oh my God, this gives me a headache, this stuff.
It was like... Can I put my opinion first?
Absolutely.
Regardless of whatever you think of Larry Kesselman, who has a part ownership in Melbourne United doing the NBL, number one, the NBL has grown tenfold since he's taken over. But the biggest issue I had was our owner sending this out 48 hours out from the biggest game in club history.
That is exactly
and it
what I would have
literally just turned away. And I should probably use the Gong Pod Insta and TikTok pages to my advantage here, because I was so tempted to do a little quick post and talk about it. But to do this 48 hours from the club's biggest game, it threatened, and the players was zoned in, but it threatened to derail everything that we had worked for the last 6 months or whatever. What I don't know why couldn't this wait till this week, for example, the week after once celebrations are done? Why did we have to do that literally 48 hours before tip off?
That's exactly what runs through my mind. The comment where he says something about being reasonable.
Yeah.
Look, on the flip side, I think what would have been reasonable is waiting.
Yeah.
Until after the grand final.
Yeah. And let me be absolutely clear as well. Jared Novelli as well, since he's taken over the Hawks, like he's obviously, you see what happened. We won a chip, but like,
But you're talking about not just the biggest stage for Hawks, but it's a stage shared with the other side of what you're having an issue with, essentially.
Exactly right.
You've got an issue with the relationship between Kesselman and his Melbourne United ownership. You're going into a grand final against Melbourne United. Why would you bring this up and jeopardise
sort of poke the
either
bear.
perspective?
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's just like, and you know what? And you can say what you want from social media comments as well, but the fact of the matter is, realistically, you could say 90% of the league were hoping the Hawks won.
Easy.
But like that just, it tarnished club image as well. It tarnished everyone else's opinion of our team, but tarnish is a big word, but
no, I agree. There have been so many comments I've seen about how inappropriate, how disrespectful the behaviour of Illawarra fans is, and I know that's a hasty generalisation.
Yeah, but a lot of that came from the Delhi booing or MVP booing. But one thing I hate, and again, I hope they weren't booing Delhi, they were just booing the decision. But one thing I hate is like when people complain about booing, it's just like it's professional sport.
Yeah.
That is literally what a home court advantage is, and that's literally what makes the WEC one of the most hostile places in the league to play at.
Similar to how they talk about it with RAC Arena over in Perth and
Exactly
MyState Bank Arena down in Tasmania.
I said it from the get-go when it was Melbourne or Perth. Who would you rather? And actually, no, we spoke about it. I said Melbourne United's the tougher team, but Perth's the harder away trip, and purely because of RAC Arena. That's what makes sport great. You don't see any like Premier League clubs over in England who literally do 1,000 times worse than booing, mind you. You don't. That's part of their culture over there. It's just like, harden up. Honestly, it's booing, it's cheering, it's sport.
I don't know if it could be heard through the television, but when the presentation was just about to start, there was a chant, "Take him down."
Yes.
Directed at Kesselman, yeah.
Oh no, I didn't hear that one.
Yeah.
I heard the Golding is a lovely person chant, but
that W word was my first ever swear word.
Was it really?
It was.
It wasn't. It wasn't Alexa Carr's brother Wayne.
No, I was repeating what my dad had said on the way home one day because he'd been on the phone and he was mad. But no, there was a chant, "Take him down," when Larry was walking towards the stage to get his spot next to it and sit it down, and I thought that was distasteful.
That's a bit of a shit going, that one.
That one left a really sour taste in my mouth. I didn't like it, and I didn't like being associated with it afterwards either.
No,
because like you
can say what you want about him part owning Melbourne United, but the league, it's broken attendance records. It's broken viewing records.
Year on year for a while now.
The Hawks literally broke their home attendance record on Sunday, which, remind you, it wasn't very high 2 years ago when we were down at the bottom.
No.
But we got to remember that. But seriously, I mean, come on. Really?
And to be devil's advocate as well, do you really think Larry Kesselman wants the league to be corrupt?
No.
Because that would be doing the reverse of what he's worked so hard to do.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, are you telling me this guy's going to referee? The amount of people who accuse let's say, bias and corruption.
And it's every single game. It's not
Every
just
game
finals.
in
It's
sport.
the comment sections of every single game of every single sport of every single
It
league in
hurts
every
my
single
brain.
country.
It's just like, and I hear this from people all the time. If you're blaming referee decisions for a loss, you didn't do enough to win the game.
That's a good point.
Plain and simple. And I'll be completely honest with you, as a one-eyed fan from game one, I left the WEC a bit filthy. I thought they got the rub of the green. But you know what? Realistically, you look at it, first half for us in game one was great. Second half, we blew it. And that was on us in the end. But I'm not going out there saying, oh, yeah, good to see Kesselman pay the refs and all that stuff like that. It's just like you look at how referee unions and actual professional sport is set up, you'd have to be very tricky to sort of organise something like that and not get caught.
Exactly.
Like, or at least not someone notice you doing it. Like, it all comes out eventually, but like, come on. Really?
Just have some faith.
Honestly.
Just enjoy the game.
Like, if it's so corrupt, why do you watch it every week?
Why do you follow it?
Why do you follow it? Honestly. Anyway.
Pick another sport.
Anyway, but yeah, so again, Illawarra supremacy, Hawks are champs, deal with it.
Yeah.
End of.
Live.
But so the NBL's finished, but as you
that's
would
so depressing.
as you would probably know, the NBL 1 East starts this week, and we've got at least 3 champs in there. We've got Brad Ballinger, Kobe McDowell-White, and obviously hot Toddy Blanchfield. I'm so glad Toddy's staying because he's a Queenslander, isn't he?
I think we had this discussion
We
last
did. I think
time.
we did.
He's
a Queenslander for this.
He's played for Townsville in the NBL, and he's played for both Gold Coast and Mackay in NBL 1.
We'll say he's a Queenslander for the sake of it.
As a Queenslander, I'm going to claim him. I'm going to claim him for now.
Actually, I noticed the maroon shirt.
Yeah.
Actually, now that I think of it,
That's actually a really good point. Not that I planned it,
that's
but
gross. But they return this weekend. They take on Maitland at the Snake Pits. Men's start at 7. Women's are at 5. But it's good. And I remember. Now that I think of it, I remember when I spoke to Joe, the Hawks manager. How good was it watching him go on the stage? Like, and recognise, like, you could tell that was such a nice moment. There's so many nice moments from Sunday. But he said in his chat that, like, there are plans with the NBL 1 team, focus on the NBL 1 team, and he couldn't say who's hanging back, but obviously it's come out now. It's intriguing. Like, I know it's only NBL 1 East, but it's intriguing to see how these guys go because realistically, you don't know how player movements are going to happen the next 6 months or so. Some of these guys could be crucial come NBL 26. So, right.
And I'm from NBL 1 North, so this is my first time.
This is your forte.
This is
NBL
my
1.
maiden NBL 1 East season. I'm very excited. My sister's looking at dates that NBL 1 that they play here because she wants to see Toddy. She wants to watch Toddy.
I would love to speak to Toddy. Can we get Toddy on the pod? Toddy, reach out. Toddy, please.
When you're not being a father of 3.
Yeah, congrats to the man, by the way.
Yeah.
Congrats to
and his
the man.
wife. Congratulations,
and his wife.
Mrs. Blanchfield.
Yeah, Toddy didn't give birth or anything. So congrats to both of them. But yeah, what a couple of months for those guys. Third born into his first chip. I tell you what, there's nothing more pleasing than a Toddy Blanchfield smile.
Yeah.
He's just got...
There's this beautiful photo. It's in a yarn. I did a yarn of top 10 moments.
I think I've seen this.
Yeah,
but,
and there's that
I think this
beautiful
is what I'm
photo.
thinking of.
He's got his daughter on his shoulder and he's looking up. And it's like, he's got the hat on. And I don't know. It's just really
Those are
pulls at the
life's
heartstrings.
greatest moments.
Yeah.
It's so nice.
I wish I could achieve something like that in my life.
Give it time.
Maybe I'll just start my journey to WNBL now.
Hell yeah. It's never too late. But that's ball. Yeah. And we're now going on to another ball, and that's rugby league ball. Footy.
Less successful, but we can get there. We can get one win.
I'm not going to say we because I'm not on the.
Well, it's not we for me, though, but
I mean,
you know.
look, gong, the gong we.
Yeah.
But
Geographically.
Our geographically close team could get a win. But the Dragons, obviously, they had the bye last week, so there's nothing to review. But
Most successful week so far.
yeah, well, they've got more points than Para, put it that way. So I'm still waiting for their win, which, by the way, Dragons play Para next week, which Gutho against the old team. Anyway, so the Dragons, they take on none other than the reigning mining premiers, Melbourne Storm, as if 2 losses to start the year isn't bad enough. But they take on Melbourne. However, Dragons beat Melbourne in Melbourne last year. Bit unexpectedly. It could happen. Jerome Hughes is out. But anyway, so the biggest thing that come out of the team list today is Gerringong Lions Junior and Dragons Academy graduate Dylan Egan has been named to make his NRL debut off the interchange. Yay. Congrats. So they did a little thing about him here. He's progressed through the club's pathway system, having played 2 seasons of Harold Matthews Cup, 2 seasons of SG Ball with Illawarra Steelers. He was the captain of the Illawarra SG Ball outfit in 2023, made the leap up to Jersey Flag and New South Wales Cup later that year. Jeez, going up 2 grades, jeez. Last year, he's 20 years old. Last year, he played 1,871 of a possible 1,920 minutes. So he missed 49 minutes of the whole season in New South Wales Cup last year.
Those are Bryce Cotton minutes.
Bryce BC minutes. Can we just talk Bryce Cotton? Seriously.
I'm surprised you didn't bring this up
Can
earlier.
I just say I am so glad
You're glad.
I'm not glad in the fact that he's leaving and he's great for the league. But it is a big loss. But I am just glad we don't have to worry about double teaming him every time.
Yeah, I think Wani did a fair job, but I will say I think the fact that I think if he had gotten his Aussie citizenship, he wouldn't have been gone.
He wouldn't have been gone. No.
I think that was the final straw.
I wonder what the go is with Tyler's Aussie citizenship application.
I think he was eligible in January, so
he's close.
to apply. He was eligible to apply in January. Is the last thing I read.
So he's close.
Yeah.
Please, imagine we get another visa spot. Jason Tatum, what are you doing next?
Yeah.
Can you take a year off the Celtics
after your ankle sprain?
Look, your dad's won the NBL, you've won the NBA. But have you both won the NBL together? That's the main question, right? Anyway.
Gerringong Lions and
Gerringong Lions Junior,
footy.
Dylan Egan making his debut. So that is actually, he missed 49 minutes last year. That's wild.
Insane.
He made 849 tackles in New South Wales Cup last year, highest amongst all Dragons, 3rd in the competition, 96% efficiency. Not only that, though, David Clemmer, who we spoke about last week as a signing, he will make his debut off the interchange. It means Blake Laurie and Raymond Faitala Mariner are dropping to the reserves list. Toby Couchman's been named to start at prop as well.
Toby fan.
Big Toby guy. Yeah. Has Ryan gone under the knife yet for his ACL?
I don't know a definite yes or no, but...
You'd assume so.
I'd assume so. The only thing, with I'm sure they have private health insurance. I mean, it can take up to a year to be on the wait list for an ACL. So
yeah, surely
who knows? But
sporting teams would have something.
I doubt that he would be knocked back very far.
No way. In terms of Melbourne, though, we've got obviously Tyron Wishart, who is another Gerringong Lions. He's a Gerringong product. I won't confirm he's a line. I think he's a Gerringong line, but he's definitely from Gerringong.
Right. Well, then that'd be 3 of them on the field, possibly.
Obviously, Tyron's dad, Rocket Rod Wishart, former Illawarra Steeler and New South Wales Blue. But that is...
Any Maroons?
Any Maroons? Well, there's plenty for Melbourne.
Yeah. Because where is Melbourne? That's in Queensland. Do you remember that song?
I do know that song. I'm well familiar with that song. That song scarred my childhood.
It made my childhood.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. It's good to hear it from the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed it. There was a time where I didn't know what New South Wales Origin wins were.
Well, I didn't watch my first New South Wales win until I was grade 6.
Oh, my God.
So, 2004, I think they won, but I was 2 years old. And then from then until I was turning 12, in 2014
14. Yep.
was when they won it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the
right.
first time I'd actually watched a State of Origin that we lost.
And who led the Blues to the win that year? None other than.
Disgusting.
Sorry, my audio just went weird there. Just double checking.
It was sick of New South Wales talk.
Pardon?
It was sick of Blues talk.
It was sick of Blues talk. Yeah. And on that note, we shall move on. But a quick little one, local league. So remember how we said about, speaking of the Gerringong Lions, and they played West Illawarra in the Group 7 v Illawarra Rugby League. How was the season launch on Friday?
It was good.
When does that comp start?
Gary Jack was there as a guest speaker, so that was fun. Yeah.
Gary Jack.
Jimmy Jack. No, that was cool. It was a good night, good food. It was a
Where was it
late
at?
night drive. It was at Kiama Leagues Club.
Oh, I've never.
Yeah.
That's got good food.
It was a good 2-course meal. I would have liked a dessert, but
Macca's soft serves.
That's
on
fine.
the way home.
That's
okay.
fine.
That's fine.
Yeah,
All good.
exactly.
But West Illawarra won the Group 7 v Illawarra game on the buzzer.
Good
Try right on the buzzer. That
2015 NRL vibes.
Yeah, Kyle Felt vibes there. But yeah, I saw that. I was oh wow. But yeah, I think that's a good little preseason tradition to have. That's I think Group 7 is underway next weekend, not this weekend, the following weekend. When does Illawarra Rugby League kick off? Did you hear that on Friday night? Can't be too far away if they've got the season launch.
I think it's 24th of April.
Okay, so a bit of time. Yeah. Still a month.
Thursday.
Yeah. Okay, so local football, soccer football now. And the Wolfies, they lost. They had their first loss of the year.
Season, yeah.
2-1 down to St. George City at Barton Park on Friday night. So they scored early. So our man, Raf Leai, we have to get this man on the pod.
Yeah.
I want him to get him on the pod.
He's a nice character. He's a great
good character. I'd love to have him. I feel like we should get more people on the pod, I reckon.
Am I not enough? Am I not exciting enough?
No, I mean like just to change
like
it up.
a little panel, Q&A.
Yeah, get a little minute.
Yeah.
You know who I'd love to get in? Damon Lowry.
Oh, that'd be good.
Damon
that'd be
Lowry.
a win.
So basically, my camera just cut out on me. St. George City hit back quickly. So I think it was the second minute or something like that. The Wolves scored. So it must have caught them off guard. The St. George City equalised in the 18th minute, and then watched a bit of the highlights of this. St. George City went in 1-1 at half time, but from what I heard, St. George City were a bit unlucky not to be leading at half time. Oliver Yates, our keeper, pulled off some good saves, but unfortunately I saw the second goal. It was a little bit of an error, unfortunately, from Oliver for the second goal. So St. George scored the winner in the 77th minute. So Wolfies have 10 points after 7 rounds, 2 wins, 4 draws, 1 loss.
Still 7th, aren't they, on the ladder?
Still
something like that.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Yeah, but they're definitely around mid-table. So Warren Grieve seemed disappointed from Agron's article here. Yeah. But yeah, so no good for them. And I love how it was just like, yeah, it's a tough game, yada, yada, yada. And then this one line at the end, the Wolves, like the whole Illawarra community, are wishing the Hawks best of luck. The Hawks are just carrying the region at the moment. But yeah, so disappointing loss for the Wolves. Now we're going to go to a bit of the local stuff to finish it off
What's
right
on
here.
this week?
What have we got? Well, firstly, we're going to have to say what happened last weekend, and we're going to go Illawarra Premier League, so Div 1 of the local football. In the main, probably biggest, one of the biggest games of the weekend, Wollongong Olympic, 2-1 over Bulli. Bulli were undefeated up until then, so that's their first loss. Shell Harbour beat South Coast United 5-2. South Coast still haven't got a point yet. Conno had dropped points for the first time, 2-2 draw against Helensburgh. Wollongong United beat Albion Park 2-0. Now, Albion Park's got a lot of big signings and they haven't won yet. So that's not the best start for them. Port Kembla 3-1 over Oak Flats. I think that's their first win of the year, I believe, Port Kembla. And Tarrawanna had a 3-3 draw against Cringilla. For this weekend, though, and Cringilla versus Coniston, that's a bit of a rivalry. Friday night, 8 o'clock at Crayon Park in Cringilla. You kick back here, Grace. You still haven't been immersed in you still haven't been immersed in the fun that is Illawarra football.
I'm recognising some team names being read out to me.
I tell you what,
I heard that one last week. Oh, yeah, second loss.
it's a dynamic this league. Seriously, some of the player wages you hear allegedly on the grapevine is actually insane for local league. Anyway, Saturday 2:30 games. We've got Oak Flats hosting South Coast United, Bulli hosting Tarrawanna. 3 o'clock Saturday, we've got Helensburgh hosting Wollongong United. And a Saturday night game for Shell Harbour. They host Albion Park. That's a bit of a local derby. Albion Park and Shell Harbour neighbours. And Sunday, we've got Port Kembla hosting Wollongong Olympic. To the ladder, it's 3 games, but I think that's enough to look at a ladder. Conno and Olympic on top with 7 points. Bulli, Wollongong United and Shell Harbour on 6. Tarrawanna on 5. Port Kembla on 4. Oak Flats 3. Cringilla 2. And Albion Park, Helensburgh and South Coast United all winless on 1 point each. Not a good start for Albion Park. To the District League, Thirroul 6-2 over Fernhill. Corrimal 2-2 with Gerringong. Berkeley 5-0 over Warilla. Unanderra 1-0 over University of Wollongong. Shoalhaven 2-0 over Balgownie. I'll need to have a breath. Picton 4-0 over Bellambi. And to this weekend, Warilla host Corrimal. Unanderra host Berkeley. These are all Saturday, 3 o'clock. Shoalhaven host University of Wollongong. Fernhill host Picton. And Bellambi host Balgownie. All 3 o'clock on Saturday. Sunday, 3 o'clock is Thirroul against Gerringong. And for the ladder there, again, only 2 games. So Thirroul, Berkeley, Picton and Unanderra, all of them picked up 2 wins. They're all on 6 points. Corrimal and Gerringong, a draw and win each on 4 points. Shoalhaven, 1 win, 3 points. And then you got Uni, Balgownie, Warilla, Fernhill and Bellambi, all on none. Fernhill and Bellambi minus 10 goal difference after 2 weeks. Not nice. Anyway, I don't know why those results are back up there.
If anyone's watching.
React as much as you want. But... So, yeah, well, one more thing as well we're going to go to. So, obviously, we mentioned last week the women's IPL is back. Yeah. Now, you want to talk about big scores. We've got some big scores here. No. First one, and this isn't even the biggest, University of Wollongong had a 5-1 win over Shoalhaven.
Do I need to brace myself?
You do for this next one. Shell Harbour Bulli, 15-0 Shell Harbour win. Ouch. So over 90 minutes, that's a goal.
Can you see who scored those? Is it like...
Let's have a look.
Oh, God, imagine if it's
You can.
Imagine if it's like goalkeeper went coast to coast.
There's goal. So last name Bell. Lineups are here, actually. Jessica Bell. There we go. She scored 4. 2 of them came in the first 8 minutes. We had... last name Waymeyer. I'm just scrolling through these lists here. Samara Waymeyer had 3. She had 3. A couple of them, 2 got doubles, and there was one that was an own goal as well, which
that's just
hurts, don't it? Actually, 2 own goals.
Salt on the wound.
2 own goals. No good, unfortunately, for Bulli. And Coniston, their first game in the women's IPL, had a 4-1 win on Friday night over Thirroul. Don't have to go to the ladder there because it's only one week.
Game.
Only one game.
And we know who's not first.
Definitely not Bulli, unfortunately. But what else? What else was happening, Grace? Are we just going to glaze over the Hawks? We'll just glaze the Hawks.
I think we spoke for like an hour on the Hawks.
Oh, we did.
But you know what? I can speak about the Hawks for hours on end.
Terms of like...
Without the Hawks, I wouldn't even be in Wollongong right now.
Sorry, it goes weird. Without the Hawks, you wouldn't be in Wollongong. Explain that to me.
Have I not explained
I think you have, but I forget.
Yeah, it's the it's because way back in like June or July 2023, and I wrote the yarn, and then
With Lockie Ulbrich,
and then that's how I discovered the NBL. Essentially, that's how I discovered the Hawks. That's who I decided to follow, and then 18 months later. But yeah, without that yarn and without the Blitz in 2023, I wouldn't have been following the Hawks or following the NBL or knowing that Wollongong existed.
It's amazing how things work.
Exactly.
Isn't it? But anyway, the Women's Open in golf. How did Daniela Vasquez-Boyd go?
This is the only issue with having a grand final on the same day that the final round of the golf is. I wanted to go to the golf. I actually wanted to go as a spectator on Saturday, but I got lazy and I didn't.
I mean, when you have a day off, let's see how Danny went here. Missed the cut by one, unfortunately, but that's okay.
No, by one shot.
I know Mimi Rhodes, who is this up-and-coming Brit, won it.
Okay.
But yeah, no, great to see. And so what's the plan this week? What do you do now that the Hawks aren't playing?
I think everyone needs to go to Crown Street, Eat Street Markets.
Eat Street, Thursday night.
At 5:30 on Saturday. No, what is it? 5:30 Thursday. Oh my gosh.
Shout out Eat Street.
I can't get my days right. But yeah, 5:30 Thursday, there's a parade going down, and if you're not there, I think you need to sort your priorities.
Are you really a local?
Yeah. Why do you live in Wollongong if you're not going to be there on Thursday night?
It's just like the Hawks have been such a big part of our lives the last couple of months.
Absolutely.
But it's like weird. There's some people out there who don't like sport, and it's like it's not part of their lives.
That's
and it hurts.
Sometimes I do forget that not everyone watches sport.
I know.
For a lifestyle.
It's like, what are you doing?
And I walk around the city, I'm like, why is that person not wearing a Hawks jersey? Like, probably because they've got another life.
Well, I heard the city was flooded with them on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
rightly so.
Yeah, fantastic.
I'm like, do you follow the Hawks or do you watch basketball? My roommate doesn't watch basketball. I didn't watch basketball before this. Watched maybe highlights of the NBA. I was like, are you a Hawks fan? He goes, no, I haven't been for a few years. I'm like, who am I going to talk to?
You need to get in.
My only friend here.
The amount of my workmates who weren't even, let alone basketball fans, weren't even sport fans, who have gotten around the Hawks.
Right.
Like, when you talk about serious, like, local impacts.
Well, my family was adamant that they weren't going to be Hawks fans. And I don't know if you probably can't see it from here, but
you can send it to me.
Our family group chat.
It in.
Our family group chat is the Hawks logo now.
That's outstanding.
So,
that's outstanding.
Yeah, and
Quality.
It's an integral part. And as I said, my sister's planning days she can watch Toddy Blanchfield live, and took her to her first Blitz game and her first season game this year.
Yeah. I hope Sam's recovery goes well.
Yeah.
I hope Sam Frolling's recovery goes well. It's just
horrible time to do it. Not just for contract's sake, but for his career sake.
But like the one game you didn't want to miss. It's just like
exactly.
But like, I mean, he didn't like Sunday. He didn't seem to care.
No, well, like I said, like my top gong moment in the post game interview, like he was just ecstatic to be a part of it.
Yeah. It was outstanding.
And as Tatum said in the post game press conference, he puts 99.98% of the season on Sam getting them there.
And it's just that 0.02 he missed. But
yeah.
I really need to do up a shrine for JT, and we'll just put it right here. Just like get those like photos of Jesus.
We
and
should
put his
order
head on
one
it.
of those.
Make a shirt of it.
One of those 3D life-size cutouts.
Yes, just put him around in the middle
right there.
Until we lose the NBL championship, it stays in the middle.
We don't talk about
We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. Thanks, Grace.
Thank you, Jack.
See you next week.